Welcome to the TDC Today Show communities. My name is Sue Roscoff. The Disability Channel, or TDC, is out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, showcasing abilities. TDC is committed to providing quality digital media production services, education, and employment programs by and for persons with disabilities and veterans. TDC offers digital media production, video production, post production, social media, and podcast creation, production, and support. TDC offers education and employment programming, which includes digital media courses to persons with disabilities who are unemployed and underemployed. TDC also offers community partnerships. Through partnerships and sponsorships, community partners and organizations become ability champions by supporting media created by and for people with disabilities. And we are your USA team. I am exceptionally excited tonight to bring in a new friend of the show. Milo Shapiro is a guy that you want to meet. He is someone who will teach you all the things that, trust me, you want to know. Me included, especially with what I'm doing here right now. So, Milo, come on in and share with everyone a little bit more about what you do.
Thanks. Good to be here, Sue. Hello, Toronto and Ontario in general, and wherever this is going. Even though I'm down in San Diego, I work internationally. Zoom is my friend by a long shot. And actually, my business has taken off because of the fact that I'm not limited to San Diego in any way anymore. So back to what my business is. I'm a public speaking coach. And a lot of people are surprised to even know that exists. They think if they want to improve their speaking, they need to join Toastmasters or take a class. And neither of them are going to give you the bang for the buck or the speed of learning as having a one-on-one coach who is not going to try and make you one size fits all into what he thinks a speaker should be, but is going to look at where you're at and say, what's the next step for him or her every step of the way so that they're making their strides. And whether it's being better at the actual putting together the presentation, whether it's the delivery, whether it's a PowerPoint that's going to undermine all of that, it's all part of the process of showing people the steps so they know what they weren't shown, because very few of us were ever really taught how to give a presentation. Most of us get thrown into that. And that whole fear comes from the fact that when you're thrown into doing something that you don't know how to do, shockingly, you usually don't do it well. And you come to the mistaken impression that you're not good at this, instead of the realistic one of, I just tried to do something I wasn't shown how to do. Maybe I should go learn how to do that. But who has time and attention to that? We're just focused on the fact that we failed, and now we're going to hide and hope our coworker does it instead of us. So all of this stuff we try to get out of the way. What usually happens is I hear from someone in their 40s or their 50s who has dodged it as long as they can, and now they can't. Now they've been told they have to give a presentation. Now they've become an entrepreneur and they have to speak about their company, whatever it is. The father of the bride, I just did 8 sessions with the father of the bride. He kicked butt. I saw the video. I was so proud of him. In fact, we put it on YouTube just to be able to share it. It was so good. But everybody gets these things where they're thrown into it. And once people work with me and learn what they didn't know, over and over, people said to me, why didn't someone show me this 20, 30 years ago? My career could have been different. My life could have been different. And they start saying, I just had this other opportunity come my way now that I know this. I said, you always had these opportunities. You were too busy looking the other way because they didn't fit who you thought you were. And now you're seeing them. They're in your path and you're grabbing them and getting better and getting the recognition that comes from stepping up to the table.
Amazing. I think that is a piece that we don't always even realize that there are so many ways we can be better at what we do and how we communicate. Because if we can't communicate what's inside of us and share it with our audience, whatever, whether it's one person or 1,000 people, if we can't get our message across, then what are we doing, right? We're trying to share something of ourselves, and being able to shortcut that, all the stumbling blocks you're going to come across as you try to figure it out yourself. Someone like you can make all the difference in the world to be able to make that happen quickly. And I love what you just said about the father of the bride. Oh my gosh, what a great example. I love that.
I so wish I had the before image, because everybody says to me, what was he like before? I'm like, I can only describe to you how bland it was. And he started out with all the usual thanking people for coming, and I know some of you came a long way, and jumped right into I'm so proud of my daughter. I was like, this sounds like every canned Father of the Bride speech I've ever heard. And so I said, I want the room to just go silent when you give your opening line. Because, people are stirring and then maybe even like half listening a little bit. And he came out and he did the opening line that I came up with for him. And he said, I don't say thank you. I don't say welcome. No, no, just give your opening line like a cold read. And he went out there and he took the mic and waited till the room got a little bit quiet. And he said, it's hard to put in words the feeling a young man has when he holds his baby daughter in his arms for the very first time. And boom, the room was silent. That he didn't, there was no preface, he just said that. And then he got to take us through his daughter's life. We found three stories because he didn't have an hour. He had, 8 minutes or so. And we took one very young story, one teenage story, one college story about how she grew. Three times he was impressed with aspects of her. One was her humor, one was her heart, and one was her ability. So we found three different things to praise. And then we got into the story of how she met the fiance and why he fits into the family so well. And then finally getting to the toast. And he just looked, when I watched that video, like he did this all the time. And he said, it's been a year and people still bring it up to me. He said, people from the other side of the family kept coming over to me and saying, wow, I've never heard a Father of the Bride speech like that. Have you done this many times before? And he said, no, it's my only daughter. How could I have done this many times before? So, and now we're working on his business presentations because now that he's got a basis for being a better speaker, it's how do you apply it to different situations? And it is different. The situations are different. He's different people in a way at work than he is on his personal life. But what I'm trying to get him to do is bring some of the warmth that I saw in the Father of the Bride speech. Now that we've got him willing to express that and not be afraid to show it at work, because people become such robots at work because we're supposed to show how professional we are and how serious we are about our job. And the last thing anybody wants to hear is another robotic serious presentation. If you can make it interesting and dynamic and still cover the same material. I don't want people turning their work presentations into bump stand up, but but doesn't mean we can't use a little humor. It doesn't mean we can't use a little personality. And people love that. If somebody looks at their watch and goes, oh my gosh, was that 10 minutes? That flew by. That's amazing that you've done that kind of job. And it's learnable, but people don't know what they don't know.
Excellent. Well, I do want to make sure we include in this conversation, how do people reach you? If they want to know more, how do they get in touch with you?
Sure. Whether you're interested in me as a speaker at your conference, I speak on speaking. I also do motivational speeches where I get the whole audience playing improv games with me. That's a lot of fun. And I have my coaching, and all of that is at Milo Shapiro, MILOSHAPIRO, MiloShapiro.com.
Excellent. So I am so glad you're here with us tonight. I know you're on limited time. But I'm going to go ahead. We do have other guests joining us, so I'm going to bring them on in. Stay as long as you can, but if you have to
Okay.
go, I understand that too. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my better half. Kurt Roskoff is joining us here tonight, so I'm going to make sure to get
Yay.
him on in here so he can say hello. How you doing?
Hey, Kurt.
Hi, Milo. Hi, Sue. Hi, everybody. Doing fantastic. Thank you. So, yeah, great to hear about your work, Milo.
Thanks.
Milo, since you're hanging on here for a bit,
Yep.
tell me something, Milo. I'm hearing how you bring out the best in somebody you're working with. What is happening in your journey? What are you aspiring to? What can we look forward to in the future that you're striving for that's going to show us how you grow? So if you're back on here in 2 years, what's going to have happened to you that we can see that you grew? What is that? What are you
So
aspiring to?
I am the horrible example of the shiny penny. I love what I do. I don't want to stop doing what I do. Oh, what's that? What's that? And I've started writing a play. And it seems like it's a different world, but I am in the world of theater through improv. And I actually have reviewed, I think the last time I checked, it was like 180 plays here in San Diego for an online website. And I thought, I want to take this on So I took a novel that a friend of mine wrote in '06, I think it was, and I asked her if I could turn it into a play. And I tried that, and I got a theater company interested. So we did a walkthrough, but I still haven't had a full-fledged production of it. I want to direct because I have a vision for what the play should look like. And 2 years from now, I'd love to be talking about how it's been produced elsewhere and what my next play is going to be. Because I just love the challenge and the excitement, and there's nothing like theater where, anything can go wrong. And it did.
Excellent.
I was asked if I could make a one act of it. So it has had a small debut as a one act version. And I watched it really work and I watched it really not work. And there's only so much you can do from the audience but cringe and cheer. And that's my next step of my journey.
Excellent. Well, keep us posted, and when tickets are for sale to fill those seats in a theater, let us know, and we'll send some of our folks to be in those seats of your play. That'd be great.
Fly in from Canada. I'll tell you the title so you can listen for it. It's called Tales from the Crib.
Nice.
I love that.
And it's kind of come full circle because I gave Jennifer that title 20 years ago when she was trying to come up with a title for the book, never realizing it was going to be such a big part of my life 20 years later.
Excellent. Catchy stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, and I do want to go ahead and get our other folks to join us on in here and join the conversation as well. So the wonderful Debbie Miller is in the house. I want to make sure you are on screen with us. And if you could go ahead and remind everybody who you are, what you do.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to see everybody, and it's nice to meet Milo and get to hear about his business and how he helps a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm Debbie Miller with Prepaid Legal Services, Inc. I'm here to help those same businesses, but also families have access to law firms so they know their rights. Also, so they can have their wills written and keep them up to date. There's no reason to leave your family with a scavenger hunt when you can leave them with a roadmap. Thanks. So back to you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Debbie, for being here. And we also do have the one, the only diva joining us tonight as well, Miss Denise Vargas. If you can come on in and say hello, how are you?
Hello, how are you? No, this is great. Sorry that I've been missing y'all. I'm finally back here. Milo, I only caught the last part of what you do, but I'm really looking forward to connecting with you and hearing more, because that story of the father of the bride just was wow, and wow.
Oh, great. I'll have to share with Sue later where you can watch that. Like I said, it's on YouTube, but I don't remember the URL off the top of my head.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, this is great. I'm so happy to be back on. Missed you guys, like I said. Looking forward to, getting together again and growing and hearing so much more about what's been going on.
Excellent. And we all know each other through Happy Neighborhood Project, and that is something where I think we all do our elevator pitch piece on there. Milo, I'm just gonna throw one more question your way here about what is, if there is such a thing, what is your number one pointer that you could give to a person who is trying to present themselves well and in a very small amount of time? Is there such a thing as a number one pointer for someone?
Yep, this one comes up a lot. I don't know if it's the most important one, but it's the one that comes up so much. Don't start by telling us who you are and your job title, because nobody cares. They might care 20 seconds later after you give a really good pitch, go, who is she? She's great. Then tell me your name. Then tell me your company. Then tell me your website, because by then I'll have reached for a pen to find out. But I said to someone today, if we weren't on Zoom, I would never have any idea what your name was, because the only reason I know it is it's down there at the bottom. But I would have forgotten because you were just the next person talking, and it would have meant nothing to me. So save that for the end. Give that little pitch that's going to wake people up and go, I'll just choose Prepaid Legal because Debbie is here. If I was in her industry, I'd come out and I'd say something like, the day you have a problem with something legal, do you want to then have to look for some expensive lawyer? Or do you want to know that all along the way, anytime you had a question, you could get someone's legal advice already built in, no extra price beyond some little amount that you're paying on a monthly basis. That's what we do. I'm Debbie Miller with Prepaid Legal Services, and I make sure everyone has the ability to get their legal questions answered to protect them and make them prosper. So, I mean, I would do it differently. That was off the top of my head. But by the time we got to Debbie's name in that, I'd be like, this sounds really cool. Who are you? Then she should tell me. That's my tip.
Excellent. I love that. Okay, who in the room can't use that mentality? And we can share that with friends as they are learning how to present themselves as well. Because, you know, when you get into business, when you get into anything, community groups, whatever it is, at what point does somebody say, hey, as you're sharing this, this is how you can make it sound as appealing and good as possible, where you know you get thrown into the situation and hey, introduce yourself. Okay, you know, so that's where I really do appreciate what you do, and I think it's an undervalued piece of the puzzle because people don't necessarily know that, oh, you know what, there are coaches out there that can help you with these things.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's about classes and Toastmasters, and nothing against Toastmasters. It's delightful. I had somebody a month ago say, I'm giving a speech in December. Should I join Toastmasters? I said, yes, 3 years ago. But since you didn't, no, you should make an appointment with me. Yeah, it's geared toward getting people in the right direction. And that's lovely, and you meet great people. But it's not going to be a quick path to something, and classes just don't compare to coaching. And people are always worried that Zoom isn't going to work. I'm actually finding I'm getting faster growth with people on Zoom than I am in person because of some of the things I can do with them using Zoom that I can't in person.
Fantastic. And I just want to check around the room here. Does anybody have any questions that you're burning with here that you want to make sure to ask Milo before we're all done? Kurt, start with you.
Well, let's tease this out. So you say you've had a lot of success with Zoom versus in person, and so give us a little idea, Milo. If we're in a session with you, we here at the Disability Channel, we have a program called Digital Ventures, and we work with the students in a Zoom environment and talking about.
Oh, Kurt, your sound cut out. Does anyone else hear him? Or is it just me?
Did
Try
my,
again. I
is my
bet you.
sound back?
They were back.
Now you're back. Okay.
I'm back. All right. So again, in terms of your Zoom experience, can you give a little example in terms of what we experienced during a Zoom session with you?
Sure. I'll start with why Zoom I'm preferring it. During 2020, when shockingly things dropped off because people weren't speaking, I used that time to create a bunch of teaching modules that I can bring up at a moment's notice, a bunch of PowerPoints, so that I can more clearly and more visually help people to learn the things that I would have just done orally before. And one of the things I've learned is I know I'm a very visual learner. 70% of our audiences on average are going to be visual learners. So we want to make sure we're using that. So I use these modules to teach, and that helps me be better. Also, when people have scripting to do to plan out a specific speech, because I'm a strong believer in scripting, people are often surprised. It's not about memorizing, it's about getting the words right before you move to bullets. So then you can go back and go, how close was I? If you're only 80% on that day, I am proud of you. That's great. You got 80% of it. But if you don't script first, you can't get, what are you trying to get 80% of? Do you have the right bullets? So what we can do is we can work on the screen, and instead of me writing in the margins like I used to do with paper, I say, don't read it from your screen, send it to me. I'm going to share screen, read it from my screen. And then I move things around and I change a word here and I insert something to say pause. And then by the time we're done, they are doing great off what's on my screen. And guess what I do? Click, send, they've got it. And they get to work on that for their homework before they come back and deliver again. So there's so much we can do on Zoom. So coming to the question of what does a session look like? The initial appointment is different than any of the others. The initial appointment, there's two things we do. I do an assessment with them that I created about speaking skills to make sure that our coaching is going to be right for them. I'm just going to make up two names to not pick on anyone here. If I've got a Dave and a Tina, there's no Dave or Tina here. Okay. So if Dave is bland and boring and nobody can stand to listen to him because he just has no life to him, my coaching with him is going to look very different than if Tina is bright and bubbly and exciting and never makes a point because she's on a million different tangents and I got to rein her in. This is based on a real Dave and Tina, not with those names, who called me from the same company in the same day. Well, they both had the same intention of doing well in their same company, in the same department, but they needed different things. So with Dave, I worked mostly with him on what I call the 7 variants of vocal variety. Everybody thinks vocal variety means pitch. Pitch is important. I'm not saying it's not, but there's other things too. And I don't want you to have just one tool to try and attack everything with. Those are the people who sound like this and they're going all over the place and this is not, that's not the answer. It's just one tool. So I worked with him a lot more on that. With her, it was on organization, the right balance of stories and data, how to know when she had made her point. So move on, don't dig deeper, don't share another story. We've had the story that supports this. And so everybody's sessions are different. But the basic format of one of my sessions would be, you always have a homework. So let's say we're picking up from the last appointment. You've worked on your homework. I asked you how it was. It's not just important for me to see the results. I need to know what was easy, what was hard, what excited you, what did you have to fight your way through, so that I either help you do that better or say, then let's not do that. Let's do that a different way. So I can help you be your best, not my best. That's how we start, is how was your homework? Then there'll be a performance of the homework and I'll see it right there on the screen as if I was in person. I give them feedback on it. And then there's a topic of the week. And the topic of the week will vary from person to person because everybody needs different things. Some people will need the same topic dug deeper for 5 weeks. Other people in a week conquer one thing, we move on to something else. Sometimes I think I know what today's topic's going to be. And then I hear the homework. I'm like, that's not what she needs to hear. Switch gears. This is what she needs to hear now that I've heard that homework. So I love how organic it is. The hard part is in sales because people want to know, what am I going to be doing for my first 5 sessions? I go, I have no idea. What do you mean you don't have? You're supposed to have a patented 5-step process. I'm like, oh, I could, but it wouldn't serve you. And then I explain to them the things I've told to you. And most people get it. Some people don't. They feel like if I don't have something that I take everybody through, that I don't know what I'm doing or that I'm not the right fit for them. And maybe I'm not. But the people who go, that makes sense. I want someone who's figuring out what's right for me, not what's right for everybody. And happily, my closing rate is, if I can get someone on the phone and talk this long, my closing rate is pretty high because people get that I'm about figuring them out and making them what they want to be, not what I think they should be. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that's great. Great.
That
Great
perspective
picture.
actually could serve all of us in so many different ways. If you can actually figure out how to have them be their best version of themselves, so to speak, with
Yeah.
what they're presenting, that's huge. Versus here's the cookie cutter, fit this because this is exactly what everybody that is doing what you're doing should sound like and look like.
Right.
Being able to personalize that, what a difference.
And it carries over into the rest of their lives. I've had so many people say, I handle question and answers that come up better, conversations better. Numerous people have told me their dating is better because they've gotten better at, oh, here's how I tell a story. That's, oh, look, she's entertained by that. I can tell her more like that. I can go in that direction. I'm losing her at this point. Get to the point and go on to, now I should ask her a question, try and bring, and those kinds of things that we learn about being an engaging speaker carry on into all of those things.
Awesome. Well, and Debbie, I wanted to ask you about that as well then, because I know with all the things that we do with our networking and presenting what you do with everybody, how does this, what do you see in all of this as well? Is this something that you've ever had? I've personally not had a chance to talk to somebody who's a coach like this. Has this been, have you had some helpful pointers that you're loving to hear as just like I am?
Yeah, so it's great to hear helpful tips and points to direct you in the right way to get it all together and keep the message clear to everyone. So thank you.
Excellent. And Dave, I want to make sure to get you a chance on the mic here too. Sorry, I feel like I'm been dominating with all that. I love having you here tonight too.
No, again, the short time that I was here, I've learned so much. And I have to agree with you, Milo, that I absolutely think that you can do so much more on Zoom and get to know them so much more.
Mhm.
I really like the fact that we have that connection, that oftentimes people don't think that you can connect that deeply with someone over Zoom, but yeah, you can.
Absolutely. I think it's opened up so many doors that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And other things that I've I go to meetings sometimes where I'm just not into the speaker. I'm not getting anything out of it. So I'll start going over to LinkedIn and finding out about people who are attending the meetings. And I'll go, oh, she's an executive coach. That would be good for her, an executive coach to know a speaking coach. So I'll shoot her a little note, go, hey, I don't want to distract you from the speaker, but I just noticed you're an executive coach. I went to your LinkedIn. Do you want to talk? Oh, sure. Yeah. That couldn't happen if I was sitting at a live meeting. That would be so rude to suddenly pull out my phone and be doing it. Yeah.
For
I love
sure.
that.
Of
There's
course,
so
if the
many
speaker was
ways,
better, I wouldn't be doing that, but that's a whole nother story.
so they could use you too. So I just want to do a quick round robin here of making sure people know how to reach you. So again, Milo, if you could share your contact info again.
Yeah, absolutely. MiloShapiro.com for all the things that I've been talking about here.
Excellent. Debbie, how can people reach you?
Probably the easiest way would just be to go to my LinkedIn page, which is just Debbie Dub Miller. And all my information is there. So thank you.
Beautiful. Diva, how do people reach you?
They can go to my LinkedIn page at Live Creatively.
And you are the master of that. I love it. Kurt, I'm going to throw it your way for a final thought.
Final thought. Well, we are here at the TDC Today Community Show. So, what we have going on here is we come from the Happy Neighborhood Project. Imagine strengthening communities one neighborhood at a time and spreading happiness around the world and so on and so forth. We're about television buy-in with people with disabilities and veterans. So, when we're looking at communities, it's a little check-in in terms of what do people with disabilities, members of the community, have to look forward to in your community. And we're thinking, growing our TDC Today community, one community at a time geographically. Obviously, in this virtual world with a lot of things globally, you have faith communities, you have civic groups, political groups, whatever, that span geographical locations. But there's a lot of work that needs done on the front of inclusion, accessibility, accommodation, and getting everybody into the business that's available in a community. And we're for sure here saying we're here to grow the role that people with disabilities have in the media community, television productions. So thanks for being a part of it, folks. And Sue, back to you. I think that should do it.
Excellent. Thank you so much. This has been such a great conversation. I so appreciate all of you joining us. Diva, Kurt, Debbie, and Milo, welcome. You're welcome back here anytime. And again, I am so thankful for all you guys do. My name again is Sue Roskoff here with the TDC Today Show, and this is our USA team. As always, we thank you.